In this video, I'd like to show you a base that I made for my 4th Arrow camera arm system that's going to allow me to mount that camera arm directly onto my Summit climber. I will give you a quick rundown of the 4th Arrow camera arm system, and then I'll show you how I DIY'd my own base to allow me to mount it to my tree stand. And then finally I'll take you out into the woods and I'll show you my homemade base mounted on my tree stand with the 4th Arrow camera arm attached to it, and I'll show you exactly how it works for me in the field. So let's get right to it. Last year, while exploring options for a better camera arm system, I came across the 4th Arrow camera arms. Immediately I was intrigued by their shoulder that was very unique and that I've never seen before. It looked like it would work great, so I ordered one directly from their website and had it shipped to my house. One look around YouTube and you'll find plenty of reviews and unboxings of this 4th Arrow camera arm system, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But what I would like to show you is an idea that I had that was going to allow this 4th Arrow camera arm to work even better in many of my hunting situations. If you're not familiar at all with the 4th Arrow camera arms, I'll give you a quick rundown here of the 3 components that make up the 4th Arrow camera arm system, and it'll help make my DIY base make a little more sense and how I made it work for my application. First off, the heart and the soul of the 4th Arrow camera arm system is their shoulder. You have your camera arm here, which can slide right in and out of your shoulder. This shoulder is what's so unique with the 4th Arrow camera arm and what was the huge selling point for me. It'll mount in any direction, and you can level this up, you can mount it sideways and still get a perfect level for your camera arm. Their system is made up of 3 components: a base that you strap to the tree, your shoulder that's going to ultimately hold your camera arm, and then of course finally your camera arm. This system is very unique because of this shoulder. It allows you to mount to many different trees, more than any other system that I had found previously. It's very simple to adjust and you can get a perfect level virtually every time. This system is also very helpful to those that hunt on private land, as you can take many of these bases and strap them to a tree at each of your setups and leave it there. These are relatively inexpensive bases. You take your shoulder along with you, and as you come in to hunt that set, you can simply bring your shoulder along and drop it into your base, tighten it down, and then you're ready to strap your camera arm to your shoulder. 4th Arrow also makes a run and gun model. It's a shoulder base combo that's a little more compact and is more geared towards guys that hunt public ground, that aren't going to leave their base attached to the tree. They're going to take it with them each time. That also was great, but for my situation still wasn't quite what I was looking for. I wanted to be able to use this shoulder and camera arm and mount it directly onto my climbing tree stand. For me, while this system is very well thought out and works great in a lot of situations, when I'm in my climber, I had a hard time getting the base mounted to the tree. It would always be in the way. I couldn't get it. It was either too high then, or back in here where my pad is, in the way. When I put it back around the tree, I lost a lot of reach because it was mounted way back behind me, and then filming on my opposite side became quite a challenge. In my mind, if I could use this innovative shoulder design and mount it directly onto my tree stand, it would solve a lot of the problems I was having with the mounting with my climber tree stand. My DIY mind went to work, and this is what I came up with. A base that's going to accept the shoulder to the 4th Arrow camera arm system, and then it's going to allow me to mount it onto my tree stand. And this is a little how I did it. I tried a couple of different size options. As you can see, this is made out of 3-inch stock, 3-inch wide, and this was made out of 4-inch. I wasn't sure when they were mounted on there how much stability I was going to need. When it was all said and done, this 3-inch model seemed to be just fine, was mounted sturdily, and it was more compact. This 3-inch weighs in at just under 1 pound in weight, and is approximately 3 inches wide by 3.5 inches long. I started with some 3-inch stock steel. Just picked it up at my local machine shop. I'm sure you could get it at a hardware store. 1/8-inch steel. I then cut the stock into 3.5-inch long pieces and started to make the hole for the shoulder. I just used some regular shop tools, some cut-off tools, and of course some drills. Took a square file and cut the hole a little small, and then just kept filing until I had the perfect size that this shoulder would fit into. I then drilled my holes, and I actually used my file here to make square holes for carriage bolts. I got some carriage bolts at the hardware store here, and I also cut some spacers out of pipe that I already had laying here. Your spacers have to be able to fit onto your carriage bolts, in this case a 1/2-inch carriage bolt, so that's the size diameter that you're going to want to use. To assemble your base then, I just simply took the 2 carriage bolts and slipped them into my base plate, dropped on my spacers, finally put the nuts on. Quick tip here, before you tighten down this sandwich of a base, slip in your 4th arrow base and then tighten it down. If not, your alignment can be a little skewed and it can be very difficult to get it right. So I found if you just put this loosely together, put the shoulder in here and then tighten it down, you'll have far better success. I then had to come up with a clamping system, so I just simply drilled another hole here at the bottom of the base and welded a nut on the back side. That's going to allow me to slip this over and then simply clamp it on. Now I have this rock solid base that's going to allow me to put my shoulder in here, and then I can just level it out. This little wing nut on my base is a little crude. I simply welded a wing nut onto a bolt. You can definitely use a knob too that you can get at the local hardware store. This one fits fine, but it definitely makes my base a little more cumbersome and a little bigger, and I don't mind the crudeness of my wing nut that I have here. It makes it a little more compact, streamlined, but I can still get a good grip on there to tighten it down to make that clamp onto my stand. The base I made can be mounted to your tree stand just left there. You don't have to take it on and off each time. It's compact enough that it's out of the way, protrudes a little bit out the side, but it's not undoable to leave it on there. If not, it's made to easily remove, and you can just put it in your pack and take it with you along with the shoulder. Either way has worked fine, and I haven't figured out yet which way I prefer, but I'll probably opt just to leaving this on my stand at all the times. If you do decide to take this off your stand and carry it out with you each time, that's perfectly fine too. You can carry it as 2 separate units. What I like to do is put my shoulder right in my base, and rather than putting it in this way, how you would normally have it in a hunting situation, I reverse it and put this shoulder in backwards. It fits fine, you can tighten it down still, and it makes a lot more compact unit to put in your backpack to take it with you. No matter which way you decide to pack it in and out, either way seems to work equally fine. I can take you out now to the woods and I'll show you this mounted to the tree stand, how easy it is to actually mount it. And I'll put the camera arm on it and do a functionality test with it. Well, we made it out to the woods. It's the middle of winter here in Pennsylvania, and the woods are still pretty barren and drab looking, but I have my climber here mounted to the tree here at ground level, hence no safety strap or anything, but for illustration purposes, this should give a good idea of how my new base is going to work. As I was saying earlier, the problem with the tree base that comes with the stand is I never could, everything was always in the way here to mount it. And if I mounted up here, it was way too high. And that was the trouble I found with this. Now I'll mount my new base here to the tree stand and see how it works. Remove the clamping knob, simply slide that on there. I can adjust how high I prefer it to be down here, pretty low. And then just simply clamp it down tight. Now I'm ready to mount my 4th arrow shoulder. Simply slide it in, lock it down. Now I have a secure mount. Use the tool here to loosen up the arm. Get a good level. Now we're ready to mount my arm. I broke out the old relic today, not because I'm particularly going to use it at any time in a hunting situation anymore, but I wanted to, it's the heaviest camera I have, and I figured if it'll work for this camera, it'll work for any camera. This gives you a full range of motion the whole way around you. My base could be mounted on the opposite side for lefties, and seems to be rock solid. The base I made to fit specifically my Summit Climber. I do not know what other models or other brands the base would fit, but I do know it should be able to be modified to be able to fit many different brands. I think my design was successful. It seems to work here fine. This is the first time I actually had it out in the field, so I'll be putting it to use here, but I like the idea of having my 4th arrow shoulder mounted directly onto my climbing tree stand. Keep watching for in the weeks ahead. I have another brainstorm on how to take this base that's standard with the 4th arrow camera arms and make it a little more smaller and compact without sacrificing stability when mounted to the tree. I'm going to go to the shop, get to work, and see what I can come up with. So you can stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you found it useful. Thanks. Just a quick update here. I just got done testing my mobile base onto some ladder stands that I have here on the property. I have both single and double ladder stands, and I was happy to find and surprised that my mobile base fits on each and every one of those. Some of them on the shooting rail, others just on the side rails right there beside where you sit. But that makes my base even more appealing. That I can use it on ladder stands and my climbing tree stand. It brings a whole new life to my 4th arrow camera arm.